These examples can be a little tricky, so I want to walk you through one of these so you can get the idea of how to set this up. Now, it says in exercises 23 and 24, use the information to write and solve a system of linear equations to find the values of x and y. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this up. Now, first things first, they tell me that triangle LMN is congruent to triangle PQR. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to color code these again. Color coding can be very helpful for problems like this. So L and P are congruent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this problem, and let's see, I've got L right here and P. These two are congruent, which means these equal one another. So I can already start setting this up a little bit. Off to the side here, I'm going to set up that 17x minus y is equal to 40. Now I'm going to go through this a little bit more and see if I find any other key information. I'm going to go with pink this time. I'm going to look at my M and Q are congruent. So I go over here to M. I got some information about M. However, down here, I'm noticing I have R. I don't have any information about Q yet. So I'm going to hold off on this. Next, I will go with red. I've got N here. So I'm looking over here. No information on N. However, I do have some information on R. So I'm going to color in R here. So now I need some information. I need to do a little bit of investigating. Now, I'm going to start out with this first triangle here, LMN. Now, I've got some values. They gave me L, M, but I don't know N. Here's something I do know, though. All triangles have to add up to 180 degrees. So if I know L is 40, I know M is 90, I know whenever I add an N here, it has to give me 180 degrees. So now I can just solve for N, and that'll give me my measure for angle N here. So 90 plus 40 gives me 130, plus N equals 180. I'm going to subtract 130 on each side, and I'm going to get N equals 50. And this can help me out. So I'm going to tuck this away a little bit here. Now up here, I'm even going to write N equals 50, and I'm going to color that in red. Let's see, do I have anything here that coordinates with red? I do. If you notice, R is also red. And I have 2x plus y. So 4y, excuse me. So I can set up an equation based on this. So I'm just going to shrink this down a little bit. I'll tuck this away up here. I've got 7x minus y equals 40. Now I'm going to write 2x plus 4y equals 50. Now you'll notice I have a system of equations. I have two equations that share the same variable. And now I'm going to have to solve for them. Now you have a number of ways you can go about this here. Some people might like using substitution. You could do that. Some people might like using elimination. That's the way I'm going to go with this. I'm going to try and eliminate my y. So in order to do that, I'm going to multiply everything up here by 4. I'm going to rewrite my problem down here. 4 times 17x gives me 68x minus 4y equals 160. Then down below, I'm going to just rewrite my previous problem. 2x plus 4y equals 50. Now what I can do, I can just do a little bit of math here, just use some elimination. Add negative 4y and positive 4y, that's gone. I like that. I add 160 and 50. I'm going to do this in a different color actually. I get 210. So if you notice, I'm adding all these. And 68x plus 2x gives me 70x. Divide each side by 70. Now I get x equals positive 3. And just like we did with systems of equations before, now they know x. I can plug it into either of these two equations, which will allow me to solve for y. So it really doesn't matter which one I use. I'm going to go with 2x plus 4y equals 50. Why? Seems a little bit easier to me. You might go a different way than I do. That's fine. Again, there are a number of different ways you can get here too. So there's no real right or, well, there is a right or wrong way, but there are a number of different right ways you can use to get here. So now I'm just going to plug in my x into 2 times 3 plus 4y equals 50. Gives me 6 plus 4y equals 50. Notice how I'm writing out each step. It's always a good idea to do this. I know a lot of people like to skip this stuff, but this is where mistakes happen. I get 44. Divide each side by 4. And I get y equals 11. So let's double check our directions, because sometimes they want us to actually solve for the angles. Sometimes they just want us to solve for x and y. Oh, there we go. So in this case, we just have to write and solve a system of equations to solve for x and y, and I just did that. As you can see, it's a little tricky, but if you start out by color coding the angles that are congruent to each other, and then finding out anything that's missing, like in this case, I was given L and M, I wasn't given N, but since there were just two angles, I knew they had to up to 180, and just set up 40 plus 90 plus N equals 180, allowed me to solve for N. And then I was able to know that N and R were congruent to each other based on this statement. N and R. So hopefully this helps you with number 24. Again, these aren't easy. It takes some patience, some breaking down the steps, going with what you know, figuring out what you don't. It's okay. You might make some mistakes along the way, but give it your best shot. Good luck.